Hey Jim, do you know Ted?
Yeah, I think I've met him before.
Yeah, sure.
Out the office that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mentioned that too.
Alright, Ted. Alright.
You don't want any water or anything?
Alright, Jimmy. These are your Garrity rights, okay? I'm sure you're familiar with them, but if you want to read those over, and there's a pin for you. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Oh, that's so good.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. It's cold here too.
This is a little chilly. I'm gonna drag it on.
Four.
Do 12:58.
I appreciate you being here, Laura, man. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I kind of figured you guys were busy or...
It never ends. It doesn't. It never ends. Never stops. All right, Jimmy. I guess first let's just start off with, do you have any questions right off the top of your head that you want to ask?
She gave me a paper yesterday that said something about public records, village property,
Mm-hmm.
inaccurate reports.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the other one was.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you know anything about that stuff, about the inaccurate reports to City Council? We'll get to those, I'll tell you. I'll try to go chronologically, that maybe makes more sense to us and to you then. But just tell me about what happened during the accidental shooting. Obviously I've gotten stories, a couple of different, people told me, but, you're the guy that accidentally discharged a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't wait to hear from you, man.
Jeff and Megan and I were on our way back from Lancaster. We had ate at B-Dubs. We were coming down 79 and we were in the area of Buckeye Leisure Village. And my telephone rang. It was from Darlene Whithofer. I've known the family since, well, I was a firefighter with her brother Terry forever. And she's on the phone screaming, saying her aunt, she found her aunt in the middle of the road. And that two guys had broke into her aunt's house and held her at gunpoint. She was able to escape, but the gunman shot one guy. He was laying in the floor bleeding to death, and the gunman was still in the house. So we're right there between both entrances to Leisure Village, the main entrance and the second entrance. I tell Jeff, go there because it's right over here, M section. So as we're there, I call Steve Ritter. Literally, this is what we got to get down to the M section. Meet with us. As we pull up, I'm dialing the sheriff's office. I call the sheriff's office. Tell them exactly what's going on. They say, you want emergency traffic? Yes.
So you called him?
I called the sheriff's office.
Okay.
We're standing there, we're just trying to decide what's going on, and she keeps saying, he's dying, he's in my house dying, he's in my house dying. She was very physically upset. Both of them were really upset. I had no belief to doubt them.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even thinking of being on technically light duty.
Right.
Had no gun with me. And, with there someone possibly being in that house dying, you guys have done the same thing. You'd have went in. We had 3 people here, and we've been trained. I told Ritter, give me your handgun. Vermaiden went around the side of the trailer to see if there was a door on the back. I said, go get your rifle. We don't know what he's got. Give me your handgun. It's the same identical handgun that I've got. And we went in, cover 3. Vermaiden was the first one in the door, went to the right, because it's a a single wide. Went in, and I went to the left, and I held the whole back of the trailer. And the trailer is really dark. And the only lights that's on is their flashlights and a TV in the very back room. I'm standing here, low ready, left hand, and all of a sudden something flashed. I thought someone was coming up, and when I came up, I hit a corner, and poof! Went in the round, went in the floor.
Okay. Did you have your finger on the trigger or something when you went
Yeah,
up?
I had, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was coming up to protect myself.
Right.
And I just hit that counter, and it just, pow!
Okay.
Off, just simple as that. We cleared the house. No one was there. It was the TV, and the door was cracked about that big. I talked to the woman and the son. Didn't know that she had an onset of dementia, is what he told us. Told us the other day that she told him Trump was in her bedroom. I'd never been to that house before. I know her, but I only knew her from McDonald's, not personally talking to her or anything. I didn't know that she was having an issue, which after everything was found out, it was found out she had a UTI, urinary tract infection forever, and never told her kids. And that was she'd seen a police movie prior to going to bed that night. So, I checked the house to make sure everything was fine, that we didn't hurt the electric, didn't hurt the water. From her end, set her and her son down and said, listen, we had an accidental discharge. Sorry about that. Everything in the house is fine. And his exact words to me is, I don't give a shit, as long as my mom's okay. I said, what about a doctor's? If she's hallucinating or something like that, we need to get him to take care of her. Let's get her to the hospital. He said, no, she goes into the doctor's in the morning. I said, then you can come and get a copy of our report so your doctor can have that to use to see what kind of medicine to get it on. And he said that would be fine. Or I would have pink slipped her that night. But with her, he's like, I'm staying here. She's going to the doctor's in the morning. She argued a little bit with him. No, I'm not. Mom, yes, you are. You've got a doctor's appointment. And I told him, I said, Dave, you come and get a copy of this report. Or have your doctor, get something from your doctor. We'll fax a copy of the report over to see, show that she's hallucinating or something, so she can get help. Okay. And we went back to the office. All 3 of us wrote up our statements, wrote up the use of force where I had the accidental discharge, and went from there. I called the mayor.
Did you do a call record at that time, or a report at that time? Because when I went over to talk to you, you didn't have one yet.
It was in the computer, yes.
Okay.
Jack from Mayton should have faxed it to you. We had a CR number.
Right.
Yes, CR number, and the square CR number was filled out and everything.
Okay.
It hadn't been typed in yet, but it was put in the book, and it was handwritten out.
Okay. You said you notified dispatch, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did Ritter also notify dispatch, or did he just come right to the scene with you guys and help clear the trailer?
I don't know if he also notified dispatch because we didn't have a walkie on him. I didn't have a walkie, neither did Jeff. I do know when I was standing there and she said 99 traffic, he got on the radio and asked for and said, but 458 99 traffic.
Okay. All right. So we pull a tape from there. It's going to have you call on dispatch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Because Ritter marked dispatch too and said, hey, what's going on over here at the trailer park and everything else. So he actually marked it. So you guys get over there, you have your external discharge, talk to the people, everything's fine with them. Now, at some point, Hebron came over, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were they called to come over?
I don't know. I don't know that because, again, I didn't hear anything on walking. I don't know. Sometimes when we got something like that, they just drift over.
Right.
And we drift over to them.
Sure.
Kind
of good mutual aid.
Yeah.
Was there any conversation about not telling them about the accidental discharge?
Yes, there was.
Okay. What was the Was that your call?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the rationale there?
Ritter likes to tell things, and for the integrity of the case, integrity of the accidental shooting, Ritter, you don't have to go tell everybody that we had an accidental shooting. Let's get this investigated first. Let's get it looked at. You know, let's save the integrity of the case right here before anybody, you know, 1,700 people know.
Sure.
And that was the only reason. There's no reason to hide anything. How can you hide an accidental discharge?
Makes it tough.
I
Things
mean,
go bang real loud.
Yeah, and you got a spent shell. We got the shell. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I sure did. I told him. I mean, because he likes to tell. You know, and there's some things that happens in-house just like here. You guys have things that happen in-house. You guys aren't supposed to tell anybody until things are looked at. You know, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I called the mayor. I called the mayor 6 times and she never called me back. She called Ritter instead of calling my phone. She does that a lot. Just the other day, she's standing there, Ritter's phone goes off. Call from Peggy Wells. He's talking to her. I'm like, I walk up and say, why aren't you calling me? I'm the chief.
Right.
That's true.
Huh.
You know?
So you guys got some communication barriers between you and the mayor, you would say?
From years, she's been on council for years, and yeah, she never liked the police department. She's actually picketed against the fire department. She don't like them. She had a big meeting with Randy Thorpe, and well, Billy was still there, and wanted to see about bringing them in and get rid of us. And Billy and them guys told him, you can't afford us.
Right.
You know. But when she took over mayor, and she took me in on January 19th, I told her, I said, all I want to do is my job.
Yeah.
I want to work with you. I have no hard feelings about nothing.
All right. Yeah, and that's that. You know, that's that. But the other thing that got brought up by Peggy was some of the hours that were logged in, and then that was also a concern with some of the people we brought that up as well. Some of the hours that you actually worked, and you know, not actually being at work. That was a common theme. Everybody we talked to, that,
Right.
You know, you weren't actually at work doing anything. And I guess a couple of them mentioned a computer that you had at home. That your excuse was that you had to go home because you had some information on the computer at home that you didn't at work.
My computer at home is set up the same way the computer at the house. I mean, at the office.
Okay.
And if I was at my house doing stuff and writing, you can go to my house right now and I can show you the stuff that I've done, changing policies and changing things. I've had permission from our mayor, Kate Carroll, to go there.
Okay. Have you had permission from this mayor to go there?
No, and I haven't.
Okay. All right.
I wish I would have brought my phone in. The times that they're probably talking about is I burnt my foot, right heel, really bad, clear to the bone. And I had to have a special boot. And it hurt to walk in it. And I would come in the mornings, I would get the mail like I was supposed to. I would check the phone recorders and do everything else. And then I would go to the house and do what I had to do. You know, but I always had my walkie right there, and they knew this.
Well, I think part of it too was they said they came over, you know, a couple of times, and you were just wearing shorts and a t-shirt, watching cops while you were on duty.
No.
And that was you know, and then when I checked the records, you had them logged down as hours that day. You know, but my concern is if you're at home that day, you know, and that's true. Let's say that's true what he's saying. You know, if you're just sitting around watching cops when you're supposed to be at work, that could be an issue.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, you're the chief of police. You wouldn't want one of your guys doing that, you know. So, I mean, you got to understand from, you know, our perspective, looking at numbers and looking at everything else that you know, are brought to us as a concern. We have to try to figure out why, or justify why that's happening.
Right.
So, and that's why I'm asking you, because I want you to justify to me why that is a reoccurring thing, though, from everybody we've talked to. It's a reoccurring issue that, yeah, well, Jimmy goes home a lot, and you know, he'll leave and he'll just stay home. But literally it's a reoccurring thing. Everybody said the same thing. Why do you think that is, Jimmy?
I would go home a lot, but I would not. I would be in blue jeans or my BDU pants and a shirt that always said police, and I would be doing the stuff that I was allowed to do on the computer per the mayor. And then I would go out and go get cards, tag numbers and stuff with the junk cars, and I would do my OLEG, and or write it up. Well, I wouldn't do the OLEG at the house because I couldn't. I could only do it at the office. But I would write the junk car stuff up.
Okay.
I mean, just because if they come home and see me, I'm in a T-shirt that says police and I'm not wearing my full uniform with the badge and all this, everything else, doesn't mean that I'm cheating the system and not working. I'm doing a lot of things in the background that...
Speaking of that, junk cars, I wanted to ask you about that too. What are your procedures for junking cars?
Junking cars?
Yeah, let's say you get a car in an impound, nobody comes and gets it. What is your procedures to get rid of that vehicle?
Run the thing through the state of Ohio. They come back and tell us if there's a lien on it. And then you send that person, or if there's a lien on it, you send that person 10-day notice. Or if there's no lien on it, you send that person, the owner, 10-day notice. And then if they don't collect it, or we get it back, they've got 10 days to pay the towing or anything like that. If not, then I go get a title from the BMV. And then we gather how many ever cars we got up, get 3 bids. And then people come out and look at the, like junkyards or private people or whatever. They look at all the cars all at once and give you 3 bids, and the highest bidder gets them.
Okay. And they get them all intact, the way they're supposed to be. Okay. You ever taken any batteries out and sold the batteries?
No.
No. And the reason I'm asking in this setting, Jimmy, is this is a setting where under Gary, you can't be charged with what we're talking about. We can't talk about this criminally.
Right.
Okay, but if that comes out criminally, there's going to be some issues probably with stealing. Okay, so there's been those allegations, and a little more than just allegations. Very, very specific things that I've checked out that are not making a lot of sense. Okay, one of them especially being a water pump that was taken off of a truck for Randy. And Randy gave the water pump to his brother, Gary. And Randy had your permission to take the water pump off of the truck that was in the impound lot. So think about that before you answer me, Jimmy, because I want you to be really honest with me, man.
I am.
My goal here, dude, I respect you. I really do genuinely like you. I want to make sure that you come out of this thing, okay. Whether that's okay with your job, okay without your job, but what I don't want to see is something that, you get charged for or go to jail for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
If anything was taken off them cars, the village already owned them, and they had permission from the mayor to take anything. I personally have never taken anything off the cars, out of the cars, anything. Now Randy and Mark Dimick has, yes. But they've always had permission, and they've never done anything until the vehicles were owned by the village.
Sure.
And they were going to the junk yard. They were getting loaded up that day or the next day and going to the junkyard to be crushed.
Okay. So it's all the same pile of money, right? I mean, if one car goes, it goes whole, or are they junking it out? Are they checking for all the equipment? Or are they making sure that if they can pull the engine or a water pump or anything off of that the junkyard would do that? Or you just sell them out as a whole?
Sell them at the car. I've seen it when I've taken them there, they ran the forks through the forklift, through the windows, picked it up, put it in this thing, put it down.
Yeah. Crush everything like a sandwich.
Yep. But if I didn't even know about a water pump to Gary. But if it was taken, battery, water pump, I will tell you, I know a jack was taken, one of them scissor jacks, but it was already up on the trailer, trunk was locked, and Randy's like, oh, we got a jack. All right. But the village owned them vehicles. There was permission by Clay Carroll, and nothing was taken until that stuff was taken, the village owned it.
Okay, so when the village owned it, let's say that you guys did everything properly, the village owned it, did you take any batteries then after they owned it? Did the mayor say, hey, you can take these? I'm trying to explain it for myself in my head why I've had 2 people tell me the same thing now. 2 different people. One you know, that I would say is completely on your side, one that says maybe not completely on your side, and they're both telling me the same thing. So I'm trying to figure that out why in my head that would be the case. So is there a circumstance or an instance where you did take a battery or two after the mayor cleared it?
I've never taken a battery.
Never.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
All right. Well, I needed to ask you about that because, like I said, I've had a couple of them here. All right. So you don't know anything about Randy taking the water pump?
No.
Okay. Because Randy's saying he had your permission to do it, not the mayor's. He said he had your permission.
Well, he probably asked me, hey, I'm going to get something of one of these cars. And it may have been, it may have been a water pump, but I don't remember. But no one took anything until the village owned the vehicles and they were going to the scrapyard.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Matter of fact, I got to tell you,
Yeah,
they took a set of tires off once for a vehicle. Those good tires that were going to the junkyard. We put it up on the thing, they lifted it up, and took the tires off. Because it would have fit one of the village work vehicles.
Oh, nice.
So, it was things like that.
Jimmy, have you ever taken anything from the vehicles that the mayor said you could take?
No.
Any of the vehicles that you were going to impound?
No.
Okay. All right. Going back to now the accidental shooting, I'm going to call it accidental discharge. It was, you shot the ground, right? Essentially. You knew that you were not on duty, right?
I knew I was on light duty.
Okay. You weren't even on light duty according to your doctor's excuse. You were on light duty until the 12th.
No, I had the doctor's excuse with me.
I've got the doctor's excuse. It doesn't say that you can return until the 12th. And this incident happened on the 10th. But you were not to return to work until the 12th.
Okay, the 12th was a Monday.
Yes.
All right, and this happened on a Saturday. Yes, I could return to duty on Monday.
Yes, on Monday. So that means you weren't on duty. You weren't on duty at all, right? That's why you didn't have a gun with you. I would assume you had your police ID probably, but you didn't have your firearm, right? Okay. That's because you were not on duty, correct?
No, I don't feel that way. I feel that I'm in the village, I'm on duty.
Even though the doctor's saying you're not allowed to be on duty until the 12th.
The doctor said you return to duty. That's a return to work.
Right.
Okay? I was physically working to get paid. I got paid through sick time, but physically showing up and doing the work. But I considered myself on duty because I'm in the village. I live in the village. I'm the chief of police, so I'm 24/7. So yeah, I considered myself on duty.
Okay, so if one of your officers acted the same way you did, in the same manner, you wouldn't have a problem with that then at all? If they were not due to come back to work for 2 more days and they took a call in the village, they took a call, even though they're not cleared to come back for 2 more days, would you per se, do you have a problem with that?
If it was the same situation that I was put in,
Sure, call exactly the same.
no, I would not.
Okay, and why is that?
Because there was imminent risk of death. He was there. He had plenty enough people to take care of what the situation was. And I believe he has what word do I want to use?
You want to use probably duty to do something, right?
Yeah.
I assume that's where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I would not have a problem with that at all. I mean, the accidental discharge was very unfortunate and a bad timing, but, no, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all because of the imminent danger. And it was just the way she was saying it, just like, he's dying, please help, please help, please help.
Okay. Who's responsible for your auxiliary hours?
Jeff Mayton.
Okay. And who's responsible for are you his boss?
Yes.
Okay, so are you also responsible for the hours that go over to city council? You're turning those into city council, right, as a document?
As the end of the month report, you mean?
Yeah, the end of the month report where you've got all the hours listed for everybody that worked, all the calls we're taking, all that stuff.
Yeah, we get the calls and everything out of the computer system.
Okay.
And Jeff would estimate the hours.
How's he estimating the hours? I'm confused on that part.
I work 80 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 80 hours a week.
Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks. That's 160 a month, so he'd put 160. He would take what he was supposed to work, divide that by 2. That's what he would get, just down the line like that.
Okay, that's for the full-timers, right?
For the paid, yes.
For the paid people. And Jeff Maiden was in charge of all the paid people to make sure that all of their numbers were accurate?
Well, we turn in them on the payroll slip.
Right, but who was ultimately responsible for that? To make sure those numbers are correct?
Those numbers were estimations. They were never correct, not meant to be correct.
You guys are paid by the hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get paid by the hour, an estimate by the hour? How does that work? Because we have a time clock, we gotta turn stuff, I mean, we literally have a time clock.
So we don't.
Right, which is crazy, but it keeps track of our hours very well.
We used to have a time clock, and for some reason, I don't know why it went out.
But if you don't work, if I estimate you worked 20 hours, but you only worked 15 hours, am I not cheating a village out of 5 hours? Or your police department, with your limited budget, are you cheating yourselves out of hours if you do it that way?
No, because our hours was not estimated, the hours worked was by our time sheets.
Okay.
And then it was verified with Mary over here.
Okay, how would Mary know how much you worked?
Oh, she would see us. I mean, you would write your hours down.
Right.
I mean, you know, like if you go out there right now, I'll sit here with you. You'll see 6 a.m. on my timesheet, but you won't have a time ending.
Okay.
Because before I leave and go home, I would write, okay, let's say I'm up 4 today. I write 4 p.m. the amount of hours, and you come over here and you put the hours.
Yes.
So,
Do you have you don't do any kind of trip sheets or anything then, right? 'Cause you're the chief?
We mean trip sheets.
Like a trip log, like
No.
your officers do when they're out
No.
riding around, driving around and stuff. Which makes sense. You're the chief of police, so you're just putting in your time, your hours, and that's it.
Yeah.
All right. So who is ultimately responsible for making sure those hours are correct?
Are you talking on the sheet that?
I'm talking about the sheets that you guys turn in to Mary. Who is responsible for those numbers that go over there?
Ultimately me.
Okay.
But I didn't do their time sheets. Each officer does their own time sheet.
Sure.
Like if you two work for me, you do your time sheet, you do your time sheet, and then on Monday mornings when I come into work, when it was supposed to be turned in, I'd look.
Right.
All right. I know your day's off.
Right.
And I'm going to know if you had to work over or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to know that, and I just verify it through there, and then I sign it.
So you know when somebody has to work over or comes in for somebody else, they notify you, so you know about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you're ultimately responsible for making sure the numbers are accurate when they go to Mary, who I assume Mary does some other report as well, or did at the time.
I have no clue. We just turn in our time sheets to her.
But you make a report for city council, or for village council. I'm sorry, if I keep calling it city council, I'm
Yeah.
just used to this. You make a report for village council, right?
The end of the month, they would get a report.
Yes.
On with the fire department and every street department and everything else.
Right. And that report is done by who?
We're making.
Okay, so Vermaiden does the report. He does the report up, and I would assume, since you're the guy in charge ultimately, and you're the one responsible for numbers ultimately, you look at that report.
No.
You don't look at the report that Vermaiden's doing?
No. He would come in or on a Friday when I'm off on Fridays, and he knows Monday is the council meeting. He would do it up, and then he would take it over and give it to Valerie. There's plenty of times I would never see that report.
Okay. So nobody looks at what Vermaiden's doing? As far as the numbers go?
On something like that, no.
Okay.
Because them were just estimated numbers of, he could put me down for 160 hours a month.
I'm talking about, okay, I see where you're going with that. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Let's go back, let's say the auxiliaries. Who keeps track of their numbers then? I got where paid guys are. Vermaiden's in charge of the paid guys. I got
Vermaiden.
So Vermaiden's also in charge of the
Yes.
auxiliaries. Okay? So when those numbers go over, do you check their numbers too to make sure that they're accurate? Because like you said, you know who's coming and going in your police department.
Well, he'd put the hours down for them. They were, some of them worked 16 hours a month. Some of them worked more.
And some of them worked less. In fact, a lot of them worked less.
I have no clue.
But you know who comes, but you know who's coming and going, Jimmy. That's the whole thing I want to get at. You know who's coming and going in the department, and there are people like Schilling. Is it Schilling? Schiller?
Mm-hmm.
I know
Jason Schilling.
Jason Schilling.
Yeah.
I've talked to lots of people, and they said he only comes during taser training. That's it. And he's listed for 16 hours a month.
Correct.
Every single month.
Correct. Because Frank Foster, our mayor, said he did our radar, he did our taser, and he did something. What else did he do? Radar, taser. I want to say self-defense. The mayor said he saved us so much money without having to farm out that training that he would give him the 16 hours every month.
Gotcha.
That was Foster.
So your old mayor,
Frank Foster.
is that 2 mayors ago? So your mayor 2 mayors ago said that was okay.
Yes.
So you guys continue to put 16 hours on the monthly report that's turned into village council,
Yes.
even though he was not working 16 hours.
He wasn't physically working 16 hours. That's
Right.
But he would come out every once in a while.
I agree. No, they said that too. They said he'd come out every now and then. But he wasn't coming out 16 hours a month, was he?
No.
No. So when you're taking a report and it's being generated by the police department and it's going over to village council as him having 16 hours a month, that's not accurate.
It may not be 16 hours. I believe it is accurate because the mayor, Frank Foster, said, we will trade him this 16 hours a month if he continues to train us like that. And that's the way we did it.
I understand what you're saying. I do. I get it. But, a guy like that's invaluable. But you want that guy to actually work. And when you're presenting those numbers to the village council, the numbers don't match what is actually going on. So if you're putting 16 hours down, it looks like that guy's been there for 16 hours that month. He put in at least 16 hours of time, right?
If you wanted to look at it that way, yes.
I don't know. I really don't know how else to look at it, Jimmy, when it comes to that, because, again, yeah, valuable guy. You want to keep him around. You want to keep him happy, but he's not putting the numbers in that you are saying he's putting in. Does that make sense? Is that fair?
I see the number side of things.
Okay.
Okay, I see your number side of things. But also on this side of the tracks, the mayor said, do this because he trains us like this. 1 month we'd have our taser, and then it would be like a month and a half, 2 months we'd have to do our radar, and then the other. So I see where you're saying number-wise 16, but I'm doing what the mayor said to do.
Okay, so let's say the mayor didn't say to do that.
Huh?
Let's say the mayor did not tell you to do that. All right, let's say that doesn't have anything to do with it. Is that still an accurate number if the mayor doesn't say that you can do it? If you put 16 on there, does he work 16 hours a month?
I wouldn't do it.
I know, but is that accurate? Is that accurate that he works? Let me just say it this way. Is it accurate that he works? He comes out to Buckeye Lake and physically works 16 hours a month?
No.
Okay. That's what I wanted to get at. Okay. Now, Vicki Glover. When's the last time she worked for you guys?
Oh, I don't. It's been a while.
Been 2 years. Over 2 years. Would it be accurate that she worked in October of 2017?
No.
No, but she got 16 hours for that month too, on the report that you guys turned in to village council.
How's that? Because she's not on the department.
Exactly. She's not on the department.
No one took her off the sheet.
No one took her off the sheet, but somebody filled out that she worked for 16 hours.
Jeff, just 16 every month.
And you don't have a problem with that? As a chief of police?
That I do.
Oh,
yes.
I would certainly have a problem with that.
That I do.
Not only
Yes.
that, we've got Bartow. He works a lot, I understand, but not all the time. What's the other name here? Bear.
Tedra?
Tedra does not work 16 hours a month, but it's on there for 16 hours a month. Every month that she's been there, she's got 16 hours a month. I call her, she says, no, that's not accurate. I call the guy she rides with, Haas.
Jeff Haas.
Jeff says, no, she does not work 16 hours a month. Yeah,
Right.
you guys put 16 hours a month on that sheet.
Again,
You understand, that's a criminal charge. That could be a criminal charge. to do all that
There's no
stuff.
monetary value.
There's no monetary value. You're making it public. You're making a public record. You're falsifying a public document because it's going over to village council. You see what I'm saying? So you're falsifying a document that goes over there, and I don't know why. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. You know, but I mean, this is a place to explain it, Jimmy. If you're going to, I mean, this is where it gets explained.
Well, sure, I know this is where it gets explained. Jeff did them, and probably I should have critiqued them. But, you know, that's my bad. I'm sorry about that. But Jeff did them.
So who's ultimately responsible for those hours? You are. That's what we just said, right?
Right.
You're responsible for them. Okay? And if it's something that, you know, you screwed up with and you should have more oversight, then just say that, like you just did. You know,
Yeah, you're right. I probably should have, but, you know, you delegate something to someone, and you have faith in that person. And evidently, I shouldn't have had faith in that person.
Well, here's the thing. I delegate things to him all the time, constantly, because I'm a supervisor. But what I also do on the back end is I go and check to make sure they're done. Not that I don't trust them, but, you know, being a supervisor, you have to make sure.
And that's what I should have done.
And let's, the biggest thing is, and especially in our job, is accountability. We
Right.
all have to be accountable. Ultimately, whatever I screw up, he's my supervisor. It goes on him. He actually screws up if I screw up. You know, and you're the department head, right? I mean, everything under you falls on your shoulders, correct?
Yeah, and you know, when I would delegate things to Andy, and Andy would do it, and it'd be done right. And I probably, and I shouldn't even use the word probably. I expected the same thing out of Jeff from Maton.
Sure.
And you know, and I thought, well, you know, I've known Jeff for a long time. He's not a screw up. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And you're right. I should have said, let me have that report. Because I honestly never see the report. He would either do it on Friday, or he would come in on Monday when I was working. And he would ship it right off to Valerie, and Valerie would print it and give it to the other people, give it to the council.
Okay.
But you're right. I should have had more. Should have doing this right. You know, but I had, you know, Andy did a hell of a job for me, and I didn't have any problems, and I got into that blind side, you want to say.
So when you guys are computing auxiliary hours, there's no system there, right?
There was a system, and I think Ron did away with it. They had
How long have you been chief, though?
4 years.
So in 4 years, you've got no system in place to track those hours, right?
Right.
Okay.
And we have in the last probably 3 months or not as long, there is an auxiliary that says reserve hours now on this big book. They come in and write their time.
They're supposed to.
Supposed to.
But nobody does it, according to everybody I talk to.
Yeah, no, I mean, if one of the guys, auxiliaries, comes out and slides out and rides with whoever at night, and if I don't hear them on the radio, or they don't stop by my house, I don't know they worked.
Right. Okay. Let's go to these checks that were cashed for the insurance company. Now, I talked to the insurance company about those checks, and they had some pretty big issues with them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That may be something that I'm going to have to turn over to somebody else to investigate criminally. If it gets to that point, I may have to do that.
What
I don't know
checks?
what the insurance checks that when you were transported to the hospital and you were supposed to pay, you weren't supposed to cash them, and you cashed 4 of them.
Oh Lord, you got to be kidding me!
See, Jimmy, the problem with an internal investigation is once it starts rolling, it starts opening the door to all kinds of other stuff that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a duty now to at least address it and try to figure out what's going on. In this setting, again, you're under Garrity, okay? I can't use anything you say criminally, period. Okay?
Oh, I understand.
So, all right, I want you to understand that, you know, before you.
This is funny. These checks, I honestly, wholeheartedly, with my life, believe they were my Aflac checks. Because I talked to John Curtis, you can call him and ask him, I got him in my phone. He says, you've got a check coming, and you're going to have checks coming for your follow-up visits. I just got a check, and you can run out to my truck, I'll give you the keys. I got $3,100 out there. I just got an Aflac check for this.
Okay.
I honestly, wholeheartedly, 1,000,000%, believe them checks were mine. This started to piss me off. When I found out they weren't, I made arrangements and they were taking money out of my payroll every month.
They mentioned
I didn't fight the system because I honestly believed they were my checks.
So did you get any Aflac checks during that time that you were getting those checks?
Yes.
Okay, so did you wonder like, hey, wait a minute, why is Aflac sending me another check?
No, because he told me that I'd have money coming from follow-ups.
Gotcha.
Just like a few minutes ago, I go to the hospital. I've been to the hospital since February 4th, every day for 3 hours. I turned in everything he just told me. He said, get everything else you need because you've got follow-up money coming from your Aflac accidental insurance.
Okay.
That's what I thought those checks were.
Have you been able to recognize those checks now when they come so that you don't cash them? Or is there
Yes.
something that you can say, hey, I can't cash these checks anymore?
Matter of fact, I got another check and I said, who does this belong to? I took it to the village. They said it was me. So I cashed that check. That, guys, was 1,000 fucking million% a mistake on my part, but it was not out to steal anything from anybody. I've never stolen anything from anybody, and I never would and never will.
Okay.
That check stuff, and we even talked to the lady with Mayor Carroll, and we got it all upset out them taking money out of my checking account every month. I called the lady. This is my bank number. This is my routing number. They're taking money out. Evidently, they're paid off because they don't take out anymore.
Okay. So you guys have made arrangements to get it taken care of.
Yeah, there was arrangements taken care of.
Okay. Perfect.
Every month that money came out.
Is it still coming out, or you got to pay?
No, it's got to be paid off because they hadn't been taking their money out.
Okay. All right.
Guys, that upsets me.
But you got to understand that
I-
something like that.
not
opens
you
up-
guys.
I understand, and you know, Jimmy, I don't want this to be an adversarial thing, man.
Yeah.
You know, I want this to be just all out there, and again, out of respect for you
Yeah.
and the job you've done for so long. I want to give you opportunities here, and that's it.
I
don't
mean-
want to force your hand on anything.
No.
I don't want to give you advice. All I want to do is try to find out everything that.
Guys, I don't have nothing to hide.
There was somebody mentioned a suicide scene where $140 came up missing too. And they said that you had access to the money and that you mentioned that the dead guy wasn't going to miss the money. Do you recall anything about that?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Okay. You guys get a lot of suicides out there?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, some of 17. Do you remember about how many last year?
You know, the last suicide I was on was with Andy. And a guy had shot himself in a bunk bed.
Yep. That's the incident I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if you recall that, do you recall some money being exchanged or being taken from the scene?
Andy took everything because I couldn't stand the smell.
Uh-huh.
And I do believe his family came and got everything.
Okay. The deceased family did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Log sheets. Who's responsible for keeping the guys' log sheets? The guys and gals that work out there, their road log sheets.
They write it out during the night and put it in the box.
There are 3 months from last year completely missing.
Road logs, or are you talking about?
Both road logs and actually city council, the reports that you guys send to city council, those are also missing.
Now I know Peggy said something about them.
They're all missing. The whole month, like 3 months worth. You know, I think it was April and July.
It was April, July, and November.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's correct.
Because I was looking for them yesterday for her.
Okay. Yeah. Any idea what happened to those?
I talked to Jeff Mayton, because he gathers them up, puts them in a big envelope. He does the monthly report, copies it, shoves it in with the road logs, flips it over and writes road logs and stats, and then the month and the year, and then he takes the other report over to Valerie. I asked him what he done with them. He has no clue what he done with them.
Why are you allowing them to leave the office in the first place? I know that everybody's mentioned everybody's got stuff at home. Why has anybody got anything at home? Why does Jeff or Maiden have any paperwork at home? Any files or anything else like that?
The only thing he would have at home would be his qualifications for us, and them are his copies. And when Peggy was asking me about the qualifications, I didn't know Jeff had already put them all together, and they were in the cabinet right by his desk.
Gotcha.
So there was.
And let me ask you this, Jimmy. And again, this has got to stay here with this stuff. Did you guys ever kind of cheat your way through the qualifications? Because I looked at your qualifications, and you know, if you've shot, you've only missed one round, you know, throughout 3 different guns in a couple of different years, and then you went to try to qualify this time and couldn't hit anything. Something jumps out right there, just for me as being an investigator. And then when I talked to everybody, they said they don't watch you qualify. No one's seen you qualify besides Vermeda.
I qualified before everybody because I was told that I have to watch them.
Okay.
In case I have to testify in court. Yes, they did do well, and Vermate wasn't their trainer.
Now, were those 100% accurate, the scores that Vermate gave you?
Yes.
Okay.
Jeff Vermaten will not pass you if you didn't.
Okay.
He'll make you, matter of fact, I'll give you a scenario with Andy Davis. Andy wanted Jeff to say, hey, I did my hours. When Andy got in trouble in Muskegon County, he had to work at the dive team. Andy said, just tell him that I was here and worked. Jeff said, absolutely not.
Okay.
I am not doing that.
And why is Jeff letting other people claim hours that never happened?
I think it's just not muscle memory. I just think Jeff thinks that, you know, it's 16 hours. He wouldn't know if someone came out and worked, like during the day when he's off, or during the weekend when he's off. I think he just thinks it's the honor system, and I'm going to give you 16 hours.
Gotcha.
And he's not 100% sure if they did or not. I don't think it was to deceive anybody. It's not to...
Jimmy, would you say that everybody got 16 hours in just based on what you know?
The guys that I have now...
I'm talking about, let's think of all the 17. Let's just take 17 to right now. Do you think that everybody really got their 16 hours in?
If they didn't get their 16, they got close to it.
Okay. But,
you know.
But you would say that's an accurate statement then, that not everyone got their 16 hours in?
I would say it's accurate. They were close, but
Gotcha.
may not have got to 16.
Okay.
Some of them may have got more than 16, and you know, they only got wrote down.
But that's fair to say though, right? That
Yeah.
they didn't get 16 all the time. And it's also fair to say that you're in charge of that. Ultimately, it's your department, your responsibility to make sure those numbers are accurate.
Them numbers were never, ever in the whole world ever meant to be accurate. That was just a summary of what we've done.
Okay.
The only thing accurate in that whole thing was the very front page. That was accuracy.
And it wasn't accurate because you guys missed Ritter's numbers on almost every month.
What do you mean?
Like Ritter's numbers that he had, your call volume is actually way bigger than you guys claim it is. You guys have more calls and did more things than you guys claim because you didn't factor Ritter's numbers in. All of Ritter's call records, all his calls, all his stats, even his hours worked, nobody calculated it.
The Ritter's not putting his stuff in the computer. That would be the problem there with call volume.
What do you mean put stuff in the computer?
He's not typing his stuff in his CRs and call records in.
Okay. So
And I wouldn't
you
know
guys
that.
you guys go off of that for the call logs. So you take the call logs, you put them in the computer, and then Vermaten gets those numbers off of the computer to
Yeah, he
on
gets
the
in there and
stats.
gets, you know,
I got you.
and it's generated from the computer. So if that call number is low and it's Ritter's not putting his stuff in.
Ritter's name's not even on there.
On what?
Ritter's name's not even on the list of anything that's been done. Go grab one of those packets for me.
Yeah.
Because we didn't grab it. Ritter's name is not actually even on the list of auxiliary officers or part-time officers, full-time officers. His name's not even on a lot of it. So,
Steve's is it?
No, so we wrote it in and put down the stats that he got, and your numbers actually rose. Instead of being down here, they actually rose a lot. So you guys aren't getting credit for a lot of stuff you're doing because his numbers aren't being calculated in that. So, you know, I don't think your village council is getting an accurate number, really, of anything. They're not getting an accurate number of how many people are coming out to work, their hours, or their call volume.
Steve Ritter's name's not on that report.
Yeah, and I'll show you when he brings it back over here. It's not even on there. Yeah, when you open it up, you got all his call logs. So you know his call logs are on there, all his hours are on the call logs that he did, and everybody he picked up is on there. Now, what I did too is I went back and looked at all the call logs, and there are guys that and gals that have 0 call logs, none, but yet they got 16 hours listed, and they're not on one call log.
Are they auxiliary?
They're auxiliaries. They're not on any call logs. They're not on anybody else's call log either. They didn't pick up anybody. They didn't take anybody back. They didn't do a slash mark and then put their name on it. Nothing.
They usually put their name on it. Like if, let's say Tedra rode with Hawes, he would put his name on it, and he should put Bear's name on there.
Yep.
Tedra.
Some of them do. Most of them don't. Ritter's pretty good about putting another name on there if you have somebody ride with them, and so is a Haas.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. I mean, they don't at all. So when I look at it, and you think about it from a village council point of view, if I'm looking at something like that and I want to see who's out, I see that this guy has 16 hours listed this month. So I go back through all the records, and there's not one mention of him there. There's not one log. There's not any number. There's not anything filled out that says he was there at all. So how do I verify that?
Well, if Ritter and Hawes is doing that, the only other person would be Vermate, because no one comes out and works with me because they all work day shift.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you see a problem with the way things are?
I see things needs to be changed.
Sure.
Majorly.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem changing that stuff majorly. But I had no clue that Steve Ritter is not on that
Well,
list.
for instance, see January here? We actually wrote in Ritter and Jackson because Jackson actually wrote with Ritter, I think, that one day that month. So we wrote his stats in there and his hours in there anyway. You know, and then Andy Davis picked up Bartow, and Bartow got 7 hours that day.
Yeah.
But Bartow didn't get 16 hours in that month.
Now, there's times here that Bartow is our bailiff.
Okay.
And he would do the bailiff. There would be no call log for him.
Is there any record of that?
Sure.
Does he sign in or something, or do
No.
That's what I'm saying. Is there
No.
anything that's written down for that?
No. He comes in and he would be the bailiff.
All right.
See, Vicki Glover's still on. When is this one? 17.
That's January 17th. She was probably been gone
Yeah.
half a year at least.
See, this should have been updated. He goes in the computer and gets this every month because he has to change that from month to month. January, February, and then New Year would come in, put the 18.
Well, you see your total calls for service is 93.
Mm-hmm.
That's not counting Ritter's.
See?
So
Now
is there
this
a lot of-
number, if that number is off, then Steve Ritter's not putting his CRs in our computer system because this is generated from our computer system.
Gotcha.
So if that number's off, then Steve's not doing what he's supposed to do and he's hiding his CRs somewhere.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not finding them because I'll see them in the book.
Yeah.
But I don't go in and check every one of them in the computer.
Okay. I gotcha.
But you're right, Ritter's name ain't on this.
Right. It's not on a lot of them. You know, so the
Didn't
reports
know
are just
that.
generated like that, and then they're turned to city or village council like that. So, and there's,
You know what, I never even thought to even think of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of it.
Wow.
Were there any times, Jimmy, that you claimed some hours that you didn't actually work?
No. There's hours that I work that I don't put down on my timesheet.
So you working extra hours and not claiming?
Yes. My phone would ring constantly, and I'd have to go out. I never put all the hours down,
Right.
because I know we're short of money, and I don't want to work myself out of a job. You can ask any mayor that.
Yeah. What's the most people you guys have had out at one time?
2,
2?
yeah, 3,
At any time, any given day?
usually 2.
Okay.
I would work 6 to 4,
Uh-huh.
and then someone coming up from noon to 10,
Okay.
and they would come out at noon to give me that 4 hours to go in the office and see stuff that I had to do.
Okay. All right. So, is there any time that you would have 3 or 4 people working at once?
No.
No, never?
That'd be nice.
Right, it would be. So on April 25th, 2017, you have 4 people listed as working at the same time.
Who?
You've got Davis, Vermaiden, you, and Ritter. Now also on that day, and I've been told by 2 people, you and Vermaiden went 4-wheeling that day over in Perry State Park, Perry State Forest, which We've called Perry State Forest, we've also called dispatch and got the call runs and everything else and who marked in, who marked out and all that stuff. You guys aren't anywhere on there, you and Vermaiden are nowhere on there. On the call logs,
Right.
policy are nothing, zero.
What day was it?
April 25th, 2017, it was on a Tuesday. Ritter actually got called into work to cover for either you or Vermaiden, one of the two. He was not on his regular scheduled days.
Yeah, okay.
Do you remember that day? Do you remember going forward with Vermaiden?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it was on
We've
that.
been forward on several places.
Sure, that was on a Tuesday, and do you remember going to Perry State Forest?
We've been there several times.
Do you remember going to Muskingum first, and then they're not open, then you went over to there?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah,
That's the day, right?
yeah.
Okay, that's the day that you went, on Tuesday, the 25th, I think it was.
Okay, then Ritter worked for Vermaiden and I took the day off.
Okay, so you do remember that day then?
Yeah.
Okay, so you took a day off. What about Vermaiden?
Probably used sick time like I did.
Okay, so you used sick time that day?
I'm supposed to, yeah.
So you used sick time that day on the 25th to go out four-wheeling, so you weren't sick?
No, I just,
You were just-
well, I shouldn't say sick time, it was PTO time.
Okay. What is your PTO time? Explain it to me.
Personal time off.
Okay. What do you have to do to have personal time off? You just get that?
Yeah, our
Just
pay
like
stubs
comp
don't
time.
say sick time, it says PTO, and then we get vacation. And
I
you
gotcha.
You cure so much, and, I mean, if you wanted a day off, you just say, hey, I'm gonna take this day off, and just like that day,
Right.
Vermaiden had to have said, hey, do you wanna go there? And I'm like, yeah, get someone to work for me.
Gotcha.
Okay, call Ritter in.
Okay, that's what happened that day then?
Had to be.
Okay. So who called Ritter in? You or him?
I think, you know what, I can't tell you that, I don't remember.
Okay. But you know Ritter was called in to cover somebody's shift?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a Tuesday, it'd be Jeff Vermaiden by himself.
Right, so Vermaiden would have had to take a personal day off, and you would have to take a personal day off at that point too?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you take a personal day off, how do you notate that you took a personal day off when you guys turn in your timesheets?
Should be put sick down there and then the amount of hours you took.
Okay, how many hours is, now, refresh my memory here, did you take sick time or did you take a personal?
Right, it's PTO time.
Okay, that's considered the same thing as sick time for you
Yes.
guys? So you don't actually have sick time, you have to take PTO time?
Right.
And you have to accrue that time, or how's that
Yeah,
work?
at a cruise.
Okay, all right, so you would have to just say PTO time across the timesheet or something
Or,
like that?
yeah, sick
sick.
PTO, whatever you put on there,
And that
yeah.
would be for how many hours?
Well, we both work 10-hour shifts, it would be 10 hours.
Okay, all right,
Since we took the whole day off.
gotcha. All right. But you do recall calling him in for that particular day, and you guys going forward on that particular day?
Yes, because we went to the one place and they were closed.
And that
Yes.
was it Muskingum, was I right about that? Or
No, it's some other,
was Zanesville, was it somewhere in, I thought it was Muskingum somewhere, or, that's the information I had, and then they were closed, and then you guys went to Perry.
we went to Perry, different part of Perry, and they hadn't opened up. It was the next day they opened up.
Gotcha.
But the one trail that we did go to was already open.
I gotcha, okay. And then you had to go to, let's see here, that trail, so that was on, make sure I got my paper right here. That was on the 25th, right? That's your timesheet, right?
12 hours, 6 A to 6 P.
Yeah, you see the problem I'm having with that?
Yeah. That should have been, I didn't even finish this week.
Right. That's because somebody grabbed it and made a copy of it because they knew you were out four-wheeling when you were supposed to be at work. That's why that's there.
Now,
And because they were concerned that you were taking time off and doing things and claiming time for work.
yeah.
And that's why there's a copy of that. You probably did actually finish that timesheet, but that's a copy of the timesheet up until that point.
I think we do have the finished one.
And we do have the finished one.
And it
So,
matches.
yeah, so that's your handwriting.
Probably,
That's your
that's my
signature.
handwriting, yeah.
You claimed 12 hours that day
Yeah.
when you weren't there.
Well, I can tell you this. If you go out there and look right now, Steve's isn't done for this week.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just whipped it out and didn't even think about taking that day off. That wasn't taking that day off on trying to rip someone off. You know, I just should have do it like I do it now, which is fill it out as I go. But that day here, someone may have taken and pulled the copy off it, and I know who it was, Steve Ritter. But that was not done on purpose. And I'll give them their 12 hours back, but that was not done to steal anything from anybody.
Okay, but you see the problem that the issues that were raised, Jimmy, are legitimate issues.
I can see it.
Because if they're coming to your house and you're sitting around, and I'm not saying it's true, I'm saying that's what they're reporting. If you're sitting around watching TV when you're on duty, they feel like you're stealing money from the village. If you're going out and riding four-wheelers on a day you're supposed to be at work, and then you claim time on it too, that's a problem, man.
Oh, I can see that being a problem. That wasn't done on purpose.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
What's for maintenance? Say on that same day.
Check here and get to the end here.
And out of respect for you, Jimmy, I'm laying everything on the table, buddy. I'm not holding anything back from you here.
I already.
Here's the one that was turned in of yours. And I'm looking for meeting, Jim.
You were past it, or one.
That right here, 425.
And Vermaiden was with you, and Vermaiden claimed 6 hours.
Why would he pay him 6 hours when he's supposed to work on Tuesday? He works noon to 10.
No idea.
So that should, I don't even know why that was put there. That was it should have been noon to 10 instead of 4 to 10. And it'd have been 10 hours.
What time did you guys get back from that trip?
Oh hell, I don't remember.
Was it dark?
No.
Maybe he tried to come in later, I don't know. But he put down numbers too on that day that he wasn't at work. The Ritter had to come in because the two of you were both gone. And the dispatch traffic had Ritter on there, not you guys.
Yeah.
And obviously,
here, 4 to 11.
and you're being honest with me that you guys were out there on the 25th.
Oh yeah.
So that's the problem, Jimmy. And I turn this stuff over to Mayor Wells and the village council. They're probably going to have an issue.
Well, you know what? This was not done on purpose. I probably should do my time sheet every day that I get done, and I didn't. That right there, the 25th, was not done on purpose. And I can understand it looks terrible.
But Jimmy, you just told me earlier that you do it like that you make sure that you don't put that ending on there until you're actually done.
I just started doing that.
Okay, I gotcha.
Because of all this issue of them saying, timesheet this, timesheet that, timesheet this.
Right.
And pay is very...
This is, Jimmy, I don't know if you've ever seen this before. This is a couple years of people thinking that you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. A couple years, since 2014. That's how long that is. That's a lot. That's what's going to go over to those guys, man. And obviously there are issues there. Now, obviously there's some issues, whether you did it on purpose or not. There are issues there that are very serious.
Like, what issues are very serious?
Like if I did that, if I left and I came back here and I claimed that I worked that day, I'd get charged with theft in office probably. And I would get fired. I get fired like pretty quickly here.
Right.
All right, so I don't know what they're gonna do there. I don't know their procedures. Frankly, I don't care because that's between you and them. My job was to find out what happened with everything.
Yeah, I did not do the 25th of April, or was it this year?
No, 17.
That's right.
17.
17. On purpose, Yeah, probably I was lackadaisical in doing the timesheets every day, but I know how she is, so we have tightened it up very much because I know how particular she is.
Yeah, Jimmy, whatever happens in this investigation, man, I hope you guys tighten it up. I really do. I mean, whether you're there, whether you decide to leave, or what happens.
Well, I'm
hope,
sure she's going to fire me.
I hope to God you guys get shit straightened up, though.
And I will be the first one to look both of you in the eyes and say, yeah, we need to tighten some things up. I have no problem with that. Have no problem with getting guidance on how to do that, okay? But to say I blatantly ripped off this Buckeye Lake Police Department is bull. I put 34 years of my life out there. I gave them people more than anything. I lost a marriage over this police department, okay? I've lost girlfriends over this police department because I spent more time there than I would with them. You know, just because someone comes to my house and they see me in blue jeans and a t-shirt that says police and a Glock 27 on my side doesn't mean that I ain't working. Doesn't mean that I don't have something in the mix going on. You know, Mayor Foster, Mayor Carroll knew every time I would be working out of my house.
But Jimmy, your computer, like you said, the computer at your house has the same things the computer does at work. In fact, Oleg, you're not running at your house, I hope.
No.
You're running them at work. Why go home?
Because it's more peaceful, for one thing. The phone's not ringing 300,000 times. The chimes on the door is not ringing on and off. Bing, bong, you got to walk out through the other side of the office. It's more peaceful, and you can get more stuff done. Steve Ritter don't come in and stand at your desk and do this for 45 minutes. You know?
I can understand that.
And trying to get things done. And Andy wouldn't come in and do all this. And you're trying to get something done. It's like being pulled 17 different ways.
Yeah.
Like you're Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, it's impossible to do. I understand that. Hell, it's impossible to be in your position a lot of times. It's hard.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I can tell you exactly, and you can just look at me and tell me it's none of my business. I don't care. That stuff coming out of there is from Steve Ritter. Steve Ritter wants my job.
I'll tell you what, I'll be completely 100% honest with you because I don't bullshit, and I'm not bullshitting you now. That did not come from Steve Ritter.
Some of it had to have.
None of it did.
None of it come from Steve Ritter.
Nothing in that book came from Steve Ritter.
No.
And let me just say this. I'm gonna conclude. I'm gonna end the whole thing on this, Jimmy. Whatever you do, whatever you decide, I want you to understand and know that we respect you. We've known you for a long time. I hope things work out for you. I really do. I'm sorry that you got pulled into this thing because it's unpleasant. It's not pleasant for me to have to investigate you. Okay? I took no joy in this, believe me. But I wish you luck, man. Whatever you do, whatever you decide, I hope you, succeed in it. And if it's this and you stay here, I hope you succeed. If you decide to take off, I hope you find something good for you. If you get fired, I hope you find something good for you. All right? But I want you to understand, there's no animosity here. There's no hard feelings no matter what. And I hope you feel the same way.
There isn't. I understand what you guys had to go through. I understand what you guys are doing. But the mistakes that were made, and there was mistakes made, but none of them was done to rip off anybody, discredit anybody, get any extra free money, or pad anything, or anything like that. The auxiliary hours and for Maton doing them, I should have overseen it, but when you delegate something, I probably should have just made sure it was right. Or I should have just did it myself.
Yeah.
But when you got so many things going on, you delegate to this gentleman.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you guys are good friends, I'm sure. But you believe in him.
I do. Yeah.
And I believed in Vermaten. My problem here, I should have probably just made sure that it was done right. But I had no doubt in him that because he's done stuff like that before.
I guess just for future reference, Jimmy, I trust them, but I verify everything they do.
Well, and that's what I should have done.
And that just keeps me, because since I've got some vicarious liability and all this stuff, with him or with the other detective, I got to make sure that they're doing the things right, so that doesn't come back on me. Ultimately, you're the head of the police department. You're the top fish over there.
Was.
But
I'm sure.
But you know what I'm saying? You are.
I know.
And so ultimately, who's it come down to?
I know exactly.
So, as unfortunate as it is, it's going to come down to you.
Oh, I know. And it's gonna come down when you guys give her a report, it's gonna come down and she's gonna let me go.
But you know what I'm giving her. I lay it all on the
We put everything
table.
on the
There's no
table.
surprises, all right? And that's all, that's the respect that I want to show you, is I'm not pulling punches here, I'm not hiding anything, I'm showing you my entire hand.
And
I'm laying out for you so that you, yourself, there's a decision to be made, you understand these are the cards that are being played, okay?
Right, exactly.
And I'm giving you that respect to say, here's my whole hand, this is it.
And I've been 150,000,000% honest with you gentlemen.
I appreciate
And,
it.
you know, I didn't have nothing to hide. You know, just like this whatever date that was, and my hours are down there. I come in here with nothing to hide because I didn't even realize that.
Mhm.
And I should have done it day by day, like I am now. I didn't even realize that, to be truthful with you. At the
Yeah.
end of the week, you got so much stuff coming up the second week.
I know, but you can't estimate, man. You can't go back to that kind of thing. You say you're estimating your hours, you know, with Vermaiden estimating the hours and you estimating the hours, and then the estimates for city or for the auxiliaries, and then you're giving that as an official document to village council who's making a public record. No, it's accurate.
Yeah, now I see where she come up with this letter of accuracy of reports. Now I see where she come up with this public records request or documents or something like that.
Yeah.
And I agree. I should have did a little bit more due diligence when Jeff was making out the reports. Yes, I should have.
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy, how long have you been at Buckeye? Like your total years of service? How many years?
33,
33
34.
years, a lot of time. Do you feel in any way that the village owes you anything?
As in what?
All the time of service that you've given to the village of Buckeye Lake, do you feel that they owe you anything?
In this matter here, are we talking?
Well,
Or anything?
I think it's come to a point to where, you know, you kind of get into this complacent, this is how it's been done, this is what we do. You know, you mentioned I take a lot of phone calls, I do a lot of work outside of your actual hours. I do too. I do the Facebook page, I do a lot of other things. I don't necessarily feel like, you know, the city owes me anything, but, you know, there may be times where you said, well, okay, I worked 8 hours today, but I did 2 hours outside of work. You know, because you probably did, but you didn't actually log those hours in uniform at the desk or anything.
Right.
I mean, in instances like that, I mean, do you feel like it's a wash when things like that happen?
No.
Okay, and you don't feel like the village owes you anything for all the service you've done, and, well, okay, you know, I worked this much, yeah, they had, you know, I gave them an hour over here, it's not a big deal, you know, I'm basically
No.
getting it back. You don't feel like that
No.
whatsoever? Okay.
I like to get paid for what I work. Like I said, I didn't turn in some hours because I knew I'd work myself out of a job, and that's the way it's always been. Give you an example, the reason why. Right before Mary left in December, I asked if we could get a window tint meter for $48. No, you don't have the money. Seriously?
Wow, $48?
$48. So that's the way we've always been in that village from day one I started. They don't give us nothing. We buy our own paper. We buy our own uniform. They give us a uniform allowance. But we buy our own boots and we buy our own guns and our belts and stuff that whatever the uniform allowance won't cover.
You know, that reminds me of something though, Jimmy, I gotta ask you before you take off here. You threw away a bunch of property the other day. Yeah.
No, it was boxes and stuff like that.
Okay. And one of them was one of our uniform shirts.
Yes,
I didn't
yes.
see that.
Yeah.
Why'd you throw away our shirt?
It had been in the back of the property room forever.
So some of the stuff you threw away, was that property or just boxes? Because we found some dried up weed and all that stuff too out there. You understand, you gotta get court orders to throw that stuff out, right?
Right, that was just dirt.
Okay.
That was just the dirt. That
I just wanna make sure that you
No.
know, because I know that
Yeah.
procedurally, you guys do a lot of stuff procedurally that makes no sense to us. But I wanna make sure that because that will get you in trouble. That'll get you
Yeah.
in trouble, like, really fast.
No, that was just dirt.
Okay, so
We'd
you don't
already
throw away
cut-
anything from
No.
that was not meant to be in there, or
No.
that they just didn't have, you don't have instruction order for anything now, right?
There's a bunch of stuff already boxed up that says, however it says,
To be destroyed, probably?
yeah, destroyed. What we
Did you get rid of that stuff?
No.
Okay.
No.
How do you get rid of stuff?
Mark Gardner,
Okay.
and that's what we were waiting for was Mark Gardner.
Perfect. Okay.
But we had 3 totes and we had all this stuff. The only thing we threw away was empty boxes because we would take all this stuff that was in boxes. We had 3 big totes and we'd write on a yellow piece of paper what it was,
Gotcha.
put it all in there, and then after that tote was full, we put tote number 1, put the legal people are in it, and put the lid on it.
Okay.
We did, I think, 2 or 3 of them. The only thing we threw away was empty boxes, the Pataskala shirts, and I think it was it a planter?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, of just dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we'd already cut all the stuff off of that and weighed it,
Gotcha.
and it is actually still in there.
Right. I just don't want to see you get in more
Years,
trouble.
and that's been from, oh my God.
Right. Like I said, Jimmy, I just don't want to see you get in more trouble
Yeah.
because of something like that, because that was just a big red flag.
Oh,
It has nothing to do with, it doesn't really have too much to do with what we're talking about.
Right. No,
When I saw that, I
no.
was like, oh, I don't want you to.
No, I know
gotta
better
shut
than
up for a
that.
second. Excuse me for just 1 second.
Let me go back to the AG real quick. That just curiosity's sake. It was Vermaeten went in first, then you, and then Ritter. Now, did you guys have any type of police identifiers or anything as the 2 people going in first?
For McNeil Police.
So he just did a verbal warning
Yes,
going in.
police.
But you guys didn't have any uniform, any throwovers or anything, any type of identifier that said that you were police in case a resident
like you've got
encountered
here?
you. Whether it's a badge or, we have the vest that
Yeah.
just say police.
For Maitland, I didn't.
You did not, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why you didn't have Ritter go in first? Because he was in uniform, correct? He was working the road that night?
He had the rifle
Okay,
and he had a flashlight.
okay.
Is why.
Just a tactics thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if, it has been a defense used in court cases throughout the country if an ununiformed officer with no police identifiers enters first and gets shot and killed, that person has made that defense that I thought it was an intruder.
Right.
So, just a tactics type thing, just
Yeah.
moving forward. And you had a uniformed officer with you, and, just trying to clarify, well, why not just have him go first? Because at least you have your first line of, yeah, he's an officer, he's in uniform, you should know it when you see him. So, I was just trying to clarify.
And you make a good point there. I mean, it just went down so damn fast that it was.
Yeah, it seems like it, and I don't fault you, and I don't, Sergeant Smith doesn't either. I mean, if in the heat of the moment you feel you had a duty to respond and you guys were that close and you were able to, great. Now, did you necessarily go about it the right way? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe you could have just held the trailer, called the county, whatever. For your safety, the last thing we want in this county is another officer killed. We do not
I know,
want
you're
that.
right.
I mean, you guys didn't have vests, you didn't have identifiers, you weren't fully, completely equipped. Because what if you did end up in a shootout and Ritter's gun jams? He doesn't have his sidearm on him. Same with any of you. It's just, it's bad tactics. There's other ways to go about it, but there's no right way. I mean, no one says this is exactly how you have to do it.
No
at the
written
same
rule.
time. There's not. And like I said, we don't fault you for that. Exigent circumstances being what they are, you're going off what you know, seems like a pretty legit thing. I mean, hey, I gotta go in there and save some lives. That's what we're built to do. It's just how we are. So, I get that. I understand that. But if anything, learning lesson, if anything, so.
My lord.
You alright?
Yeah. Having pounded coffee and water.
Yeah, I can. And we're talking about vests. We've asked for vests for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, there's still departments in the state that, if you get one donated, you get one donated. If you get a hand-me-down, you get a hand-me-down. If you don't get one, well, you want to go into work and, without one, may or may not. So, I understand that. It's definitely an issue throughout the state, throughout the country. It's definitely an issue.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yep.
I got a thing in here. I just want to read this. I spoke with Randy from the street department today. Randy said Terry Small got in trouble. That Terry was caught by Jimmy carrying a battery, and Terry told Randy told Terry to tell him that Randy knew. Jimmy then confronted Randy, and Randy said he didn't know anything about it, but Jimmy did nothing about it. You remember that?
Oh, I caught, Terry was walking across the parking lot,
Yeah.
and I asked him about the battery,
Mhm.
and he said Randy said he could have it.
Okay.
And it was a battery, an old battery went to the siren. And then when I asked Randy, Randy said that no, he did not tell Small to have it.
Okay.
Okay? Randy didn't want any confrontation between, just wanted Terry Small not to come back. And so did Mark Dimmick was underneath, he was underneath Mark Dimmick at that time.
Okay.
So that's why nothing was done, because they didn't want any conflict, just tell Terry he's not allowed back at the street department.
Right. But if you see this book, Jimmy, like I said, this is a book basically about Jimmy.
That's fine.
All right. I mean, Jimmy called, asked me to come in at 11, said he had a funeral meeting to go to. Took a cruise to the funeral. 3:20 called, said he was going home for the day. At 3:20, so he went home for the day. It's literally day by day for years of you going home, or you not coming in, or you saying you were somewhere that they said that you weren't at. And I'm just saying this is what this guy's saying over and over and over and over again.
That is Andy Davis.
That's right, it's Andy Davis. But remember, this is Andy Davis, but it's also former employees that I've talked to saying the same things. It's also current employees I'm saying, they're saying the same things. Just honestly, Jimmy, do you think that you're doing a great job over there from, let's say 2015 on? Do you think that you're doing the job that you should be doing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, why do you think so?
Because I get things done, and just because that I'm not in uniform every day of the week, doesn't mean that I'm not doing something for that police department. I look for grants for cars. I look for grants for equipment. I even look for grants for generators for the police department in case the electric goes out. When the electric goes out, we're done. Our department's done. Next door has a generator.
You guys can't just tie into it?
They wouldn't tie us into it. So I look for grants and stuff like that. Today, I've been reading the new DUI laws and getting up on the new unclassified misdemeanors on your DUSs and stuff like that. Getting ready to print that stuff out.
Well, Jimmy, you know what? Didn't really want to go here with this, but I'm going to anyway because, again, it's out of respect for you. But, we had quite a few officers, too, say they went to your house because you were threatening suicide.
What?
3 officers told us that.
Who?
The 3 that were there.
3?
They said that you wanted to kill yourself because of the insurance checks. You recall it? You recall that? And the reason I'm telling you this, Jimmy, I don't even care if you answer. This job will stress you the hell out. This job will get to you. This job will take you. They'll just take you to the point where you're like snapped. Jimmy, I'm just telling you because again, it's out of respect for you. That if the job's getting you this bad, maybe you got to think about it for a while and say, is this what I want to do?
No. You know what? The insurance check, and it wasn't an insurance, it was about my insurance on my house that flooded my washroom. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm just freaking sick and tired of life.
Yeah.
And everybody at that point overreacted.
But you do remember that then?
Yeah, but I didn't actually say, I'm going to kill myself and,
Right.
No, I said, I am fucking, my words were, I'm fucking sick and tired of life because every time I turn around I get fucked.
Well, apparently you scared enough people that they were
It scared Jeff from Maton as we were scared.
It did. It scared the shit out of him.
Yeah, I know it did.
So,
and he knows there's 3 reasons, well, let me use this hand, 3 reasons that I would never hurt myself. First of all is my son. I love that boy more than anything. Then there's 2 little girls never, that pisses me off. That pisses me off.
well, it's not meant to piss you off, Jimmy. It's meant to show you that life is valuable, man. And if you're spending most of your life just being pissed off at the world or doing something that's affecting your health, maybe you got to look at it and just say, hey, I don't want to do all this crap. You know what I mean? Maybe at some point you just say, I got to make my life easier. And I'm not saying to quit. I'm saying find a way to make your life easier.
It's funny. These guys want to write all this stuff down. Maybe I should have been keeping a book on Andy Davis. Maybe I should have been keeping a job.
No, you should have been doing, what you should have been doing is being the chief of police and saying, you know what, you're not doing your job right. Here's your write-up for this, but to do that, you've got to be a supervisor. To do that, you've got to be an asshole sometimes, and to do that, you've got to be on top of shit.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, I love you to death, man. I respect you, but you didn't do that.
No.
I think we can all agree on that, right? You didn't do that. So, you know, that's an issue. That's something that, regardless of what you do from here on out, you got to look at this time and say, yeah, you're right. I could have done things a lot differently. I could have done things a lot better, you know. But at the end of the day,
I'll be the first one to tell you I could have done things different, could have done things a lot better. You're damn right. But you know, when you're that close of an apartment, you know, and I can tell you, let me tell you this, where this stands from. And you can believe me or you can't believe me. The day Ron Small retired, Ron Small's Andy's father-in-law. Okay?
oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Andy married Ron's daughter, Rhonda. Alright? When Ron was retiring, Ron wanted to retire, and then he wanted to come back 3 days a week, and then I worked the rest of the week. I worked with him them 3 days, but I finished it out. He wanted to be the chief of police, he wanted to keep his sick time, and he wanted to keep his vacations 5 weeks a year. Mayor Baker said, no. I don't know what happened between them, but one day I come in the office and Ron said, if I were to retire today, who would you put in your place? I said, well, I'd probably put in Andy. He said, good, because if you had said verbatim, I wasn't retiring. I'm retiring as of Friday. All right?
So you promoted Andy to sergeant because of that?
No.
Okay.
He said, Andy's your new sergeant. I've already worked it out with Mayor Baker. You're going to start him out at this amount of money. Okay. Didn't know I was going to put him on as sergeant or anything else. I thought maybe he'd just come on full-time as a patrolman, but okay. Ron already worked everything out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in 2013. 2014, I reached the point where I could retire with Ohio Police and Fire. Okay? I asked the mayor, which was a new mayor, Clay Carroll. I'm to the point where I can retire. It's not going to do me a lot of good to work. Can I retire and can I come back? I said, this is what I'll do. I'll give you my sick time and I'll give you my vacation and I'll start at zero. I said, then you won't have to find someone. You already know I can do the job. He said, let me kick it around. 2 days later, he called me and said, yes, you can. It's all right. Went to the retirement board and I retired. Knowing Ron was going to be madder than hell. Ron's a very vindictive man. Ron's a very greedy man. And nothing in this world matters anything other than money to that man. Okay? So, I said, let me be the one to tell him. I think I can tell him in an easy way that will not piss him off. Boy, was I wrong. He called me every name in the book in the Dollar General parking lot. He said this was his favorite words, was bullfuck. He left. He called one of our council members, just tore them a new ass that he was friends with, Barry Heron. And then 2 weeks later, he calls the Mayor Carroll and tells Mayor Carroll that I'm worthless and I do nothing. And I've never done anything. Threw me under the bus. So, this little book that we have here is from his son-in-law because Andy is the same damn way. There ain't nothing in this world that means more to Andy Davis than money. You know? So, this is driven from that. Guys, you can say, oh, this is a bunch of horse shit. You could, oh, he's full of shit. Tell that fat ass to go back to Buckeye Lake. That's the 110% truth, Gary. And I would take a polygraph exam 1,400 times over, and it would come out the same, that I'm telling you the truth. I've told you the truth all day today.
And I appreciate that, Jimmy.
I have nothing to hide. You know, yeah, you bring things up, should have been tightened up. You're right. I appreciate that. I hope you tell Mayor Wells that I don't have any training as being a big supervisor, because every time we ask to go to training, we don't get it. It gets denied. They denied $48 freaking window tint. You think they're going to give me $320 to go to?
No, I understand that. We've got a deputy chief that'll do the same thing, you know, trying to get things and little tiny things, and he likes to poo-poo on everything like that. But we get it to an extent, believe me.
But, you know, just like the day that he says I was working, I put down I was working, but I was four-wheeling. I didn't do that on purpose. That is 100,000% typo, you know.
Okay, Jimmy.
I mean, I'm not angry at you guys.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah.
I certainly hope not.
Why would I be angry at you guys? It's nothing.
Right.
You guys got dragged in the middle of only was supposed to have been an accidental shooting.
Right.
And then I don't know how all this came about.
I gotta go confirm something real quick with these guys and outside, make sure that we're good to go. Yeah, I think that's why I want to check one, because I got one more thing.
All right.
Jimmy, we're gonna let you go in a minute, man. Hold on a second.
Deputy Sheriff's here to take me to jail, isn't he?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I sure hope not. I wasn't made aware if that's the case, so.
I have
right
got
now,
nothing to go to jail
no.
for.
No, and like we said, this is all under Garrity, so this is a completely different circumstance, you know.
I appreciate that you guys show me some of these things. I really do.
Well, like Gary said, we just want to be upfront and honest, because we're not trying to be shady, we're not trying to be conniving, we're not trying
And
to
I
be
don't think you guys have been.
We're just trying to put everything out there and just be open, and we're trying to be the unbiased party that, I mean, we're on the west side of the county, we're the stepchild as it is, you know, so it's a little bit easier for them to ask somebody who is still within the county, just a different agency.
Yeah, that's
not
okay.
ours, so.
That's the same things I had on here. You're good, man. No, there's no tricks, Jimmy. We don't have a deputy waiting for you.
I seen it, I was like, man, am I going to jail?
No. You're not going to jail. All right, this is internal investigation. Nothing that we talk about can be used.
And you know, Gary, I appreciate you more than you think, because you've showed me a few things that I should tighten up, and I need to tighten up.
Yeah.
And you showed me that I put a little bit more faith in people that maybe I shouldn't have. Just because they're friends and we go out and eat dinner and everything,
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely not. I mean, you gotta separate business
Yeah.
from friendship. It just has to
And,
happen.
you know, that's hard because when you all work together,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
you know.
We all work
And-
together, we're all very tight, but at the same time, I get my butt kicked in sometimes too when I do something stupid,
And
which it should.
I don't want to lose my job. I have 34 years in. I have a lot left in me to go. I do know there needs to be things to be tightened up, and if I get the chance, they'll be tighter than nuns.
I got you. I know where you're going with that.
But, you know, I've been 100% honest with you guys because I came in here, like Jeff not wanting to take the CVSA. That was bullheadedness. That wasn't because I don't believe in them. My attorney says he doesn't believe in them either.
Sure.
It's unproven science.
It's
I don't
unproven. There are things down there that are really good aspects, I think, too. There's a lot of the pre-interview stuff that are really, really
Now,
good.
did I take a CVSA?
I'm not going to give you one.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you one because I believe you.
I mean,
I
thank
do.
you.
I believe what you're
Thank you.
saying. I'm not doubting. So I don't have to give you one.
You know, I didn't come out here and sit out there and, oh,
Sure.
God, I'm nervous. Because, Gary, I have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Not a thing to hide from you.
And again, Jimmy, like I said, man, it's a respect thing for me. I respect the time you put in, the job you've done, and everything else like that. So, I just wanted to give you all the information so you're aware of what we've got going on. And I was meticulous. That's why it's taken a long time to get to you, because I wanted to talk to everybody, because I didn't want you to come in here and me only have half the knowledge. Okay.
Right.
I wanted to make sure
I
I give you the
understand
fairest
that.
shake possible. So
That's the way you have to do it.
I hope we can leave as friends here, and no matter what happens,
We're going to leave as friends.
understand that I want to do as fair as possible. Okay.
I mean, you did what you was asked to do,
Right.
and you can't do a half-assed job.
No, I can't, because then I'll get my ass kicked too. Okay.
But you did enlighten me on things that needs to be tightened up.
Yeah.
You enlightened me on, you're right about that identifier, It's just when something goes down that fast, you don't think of that.
Yeah, I totally.
I was thinking someone was dying, you know.
But Jimmy, like I said, no tricks pulled there, man, none at all. So, you know, I think we're done. You ready to go? Then, you know, you're free to go.
Am I allowed to have a copy of this when everything's done?
Yeah, you get a copy of everything. Yeah, you
Book
get a copy.
too?
I don't know about the book. You'll get a copy of at least your interview. I'll give everything to the mayor,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure exactly because we typically do in-house stuff.
ours, yeah.
You know, so I don't know if there's a public records request that has to be made for Buckeye Lake. I'm not really sure how it's going to work.
You know, because it's kind of funny. I treated Andy Davis, and Andy would sit for hours and talk about business, or he would meet his real estate people. Okay.
You shouldn't have let that shit happen.
Exactly.
You shouldn't let that
You're
happen.
exactly.
You know,
You're
and that's-
exactly right.
That's where it backs up to being a supervisor and being the head of the department.
But
You
you know-
ultimately be responsible, so you got to cut that.
The bad thing is I done exactly what past chief has done, and the reason is the straw that broke the camel's back was this. Got to sit to a 28. Okay. Ron's at the office. Ron never shows up. Ron's on the phone getting a load for his semi from Texas back to Ohio. I about to get my ass kicked. If it wasn't for Tommy Lucas coming in, I had tased the guy. No effect. No effect. We were going toe to toe. And I tried to tase him again. My taser broke. It wasn't for Tommy Lucas coming in and laying down on the guy. The guy was on a set of steps. I knocked him back, was on a set of steps. And Tommy come around the corner and just laid down on the guy. And just laid there. Guy knocked the breath out of him. We flipped him over and cuffed him. Ron never left that office because he was getting him a load.
Not a way to do business.
So I went to the mayor and said, this is it. You know what? I followed in that man's footsteps, and that sucks.
I agree. Unfortunately.
Yep. And I see that you can't be friends with Jay here and have Jay do your delegation work and not check him.
Right. Yeah, everything's got to be checked and rechecked, and sometimes checked 3 times.
But I probably will not get the chance to do that, because I guarantee you she's going to let me go.
I don't know.
I hope not.
That's on her.
Yeah, that's
We don't
on
have
her.
anything to do
Yep.
with it.
I hope not.
We are the gatherer of the information, Jimmy. That's it, man.
Oh, I know.
I can't even suggest to her anything. I can't suggest to you anything. All I can say is we know that there were some deficiencies that need to be tightened up, no matter what.
She told Jeff from Mayton that you guys recommended immediate termination for him.
We didn't recommend anything
We
for
didn't
them.
do any recommendations.
We said, for here, she asked us what we would have done here for that stuff. And I said that would have been insubordination, and that's termination here. If you're insubordinate here, you're terminated, especially during a internal investigation. You just can't do
It
it.
says that right in the Garrity.
Right, even, that what Garrity writes to you read, same thing. I mean, you cannot do that. So, anything that she does, that's completely on her.
Right.
Whatever her powers are, that's between her, village
Your
council,
village, yeah, your solicitor
guys,
and all that. That's
has
all them.
absolutely zero to do with me. And anytime she's asked me a question on what should I do about this, I've told her contact the solicitor.
Right.
Because that's the only advice I can really give her. Contact the solicitor. Do it that way, and that's, then you're covered.
Yeah, we
I'm
don't
not
dabble
here-
in that game.
Yeah, no,
That's for the
I-
attorneys.
Yeah,
That's why they
exactly.
send books.
Now, that's a game that, if they want to play that game, that's for them to play, not for us. We're the impartial gatherers of the information, and that's it. Now, I'm doing a report, I'll do a statement up, and that'll be the information that I was told. And that's it. It's not an opinion, it's not,
Right.
my opinion to you, is, I try to give you some advice. I mean, it's not really my opinion, I guess it is. But that's to you, from a police officer to a police officer, a supervisor to a supervisor, that things could definitely be tightened up.
And I see that now. I see that 100%.
Right.
I see that. And I agree with you. And I'll probably start tightening them up tomorrow.
Just do what you gotta do, jump through the hoops and see where you fall. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted you to leave here feeling like you had all the information. And you do, you have all the information.
I have everything.
All right. Jimmy?
Buddy, I have no hard feelings.
I hope not,
I
man.
love both of you.
I hope
We're all
not.
brothers in blue.
I hope we can,
Same goals.
you know, I hope we can have a beer someday and sit back and talk about, you know, the good old days.
We can do that. How long have you been here?
I've been here for 15 years.
How long have you been here?
7.
7. Do you like it?
Yeah. They treat me well. You pay me a little bit more, but.